It's talk time now. The Nigerian government says it has high regard for the judiciary and insists that its recent arrest of 7 judges, including 2 from the Supreme Court, is not intended to ridicule the third arm of government.
Information Minister Lai Mohammed said this while briefing State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja. Our correspondent, Taya Madu, reports.
The recent move by the Department of State Security against 7 judges continues to generate controversy amid the polity on the manner, timing, and legality. It is a topic the Federal Cabinet is careful about commenting on, but it stands with the Secret Service insisting that proper procedure was followed in the arrest of the judges.
Let's remove emotion from facts. 1. Do judges have immunity? The answer is no. Can judges be arrested? The answer is yes. Have judges or serving judges been arrested in Nigeria? The answer is yes. Justice Ikomi was arrested and tried. Magistrate Rauf Fugaji was arrested, tried, and convicted. Now, the next question to ask is that what is the proper procedure for arresting anybody or especially judges? There will be properly executed search warrant. Was such presented? The answer again is yes. People have tried to model the fact about when do you search, a person's house. The truth of the matter is that under the new criminal justice the criminal justice law, you can search anybody, anywhere, anytime.
The Information Minister describes as untenable the argument that the NJC is the only authority that can discipline judges, pointing out that what the judges have been accused of is different from when a judge is accused of professional misconduct.
Please do not confuse the fight against corruption as a fight against judiciary. No, absolutely not. What the government is concerned and passionate about is to fight corruption. In the process of fighting corruption, it's not unusual that you step on some very sensitive toes.
The Federal Cabinet had earlier during deliberations approved 700 million naira for the completion of abandoned federal secretariats in Anambra, Bayelsa, Gombe, Nasarawa, Osun, and Zamfara states. Power Works and Housing Minister disclosed that the projects were abandoned since 2012 and funds for their revival and completion were captured in the 2016 budget.
They are at various stages of completion. There have been changes in cost as a result of some project design amendments in cases where original location and contract had changed and they had to be redesigned in substructure. Some places where drainage projects had been constructed that interfered with the choice of site at the time of contract, resulting in the need to change.
Council also approved the revival of the abandoned 10-megawatt wind farm power project in Katsina State, which is a crucial part of government's roadmap for renewable energy and achieving incremental power in the country. The Power Works and Housing Minister explained that the contract cost of the power project escalated following the abduction of the contractor, who after being rescued, abandoned the project. Taya Madu, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, I must say a lot is happening in the country, and at the Federal Executive Council meeting, a lot of things were touched, from the issue of the DSS versus the lawyers, and versus the NJC, and then other issues as well.
Did you hear what the Minister of Works just said? That some contractor was adopted, and that has brought to the fore the issue of national security. Many have argued that that's the duty of the DSS, not to arrest judges.
Well, those are opinions. But however, joining us now is the second Vice President of the Nigeria Bar Association, Monday Onyekachi Ubani, joining us right now. You're welcome to TVC Breakfast.
My pleasure.
And we have the Chairman of the Nigeria Bar Association, Ikeja Branch, Additional Ogunlano Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you so
and
much.
we also have in the studio former director of Department of State Security, now security consultant, Dennis Amatri. It's good to have you join us. Gentlemen, it's a wonderful panel, I must say. But let us start it this way. I'd like to start with Amatri, Amakri, Dennis Amakri. There has been certain level of controversy concerning the DSS arresting judges. Some very senior judges have said that the DSS went far way above their mandate. Give us the foundational mandate of the DSS, whether they acted in line or acted out of line.
The decree that brought the DSS, or State Security Service actually, into life states that they are responsible for internal security of the country. And as much as you want to define what internal security means, it encompasses a lot. So you find out that unlike the police, unlike EFCC, or unlike any other security agencies, the DSS can carry out any kind of security directive, especially from the president, because that is the last objective, where anything the DSS, the president wants them to do, they will do. And in this particular case, this is not the first time, where the DSS has moved into certain aspects of our national life to correct certain things that are happening in this country.
All right, Mr. Obani, some lawyers have argued that in 1999, there was an instrument one added to the act establishing the SSS, which Abubakar Salami brought in, which now extended, or as it were, expand a bit of their mandate that includes economic crime.
Well, you hear the former director of SSS, talk about the powers, given to them under the law, and he was talking about internal security, which according to him should be given what we call wider latitude in interpretation. But I think that actually is a work of the court. If the law provides for specifics, and then you now want to give it a wider distance, that law must go ahead and specify it expressly. But if you now say that there's going to be a wider latitude, maybe a situation like this that is bringing this matter now before the court. Because according to the report, somebody has gone to court to challenge the powers of DSS in arresting judges. And then also is putting before the court whether NJC can be sidetracked, sidelined, in the issue of arrest of judges, whether you have to take an excuse from them and all that. So the court now will now make a pronouncement, and that will put, behind us whether DSS has the right actually to arrest people on matters you may not consider internal security matter, state security matter. So people are saying that this is corruption, bribery and corruption. Can DSS actually have the powers to do that? Even though some lawyers are also arguing, look, issue of how you obtain the evidence is immaterial, because evidence even illegally obtained can be admissible in criminal,
Nigeria.
In criminal proceedings, yes. Even though it's illegally obtained.
Yes.
The most important thing is that there has been an arrest by a security agency or recognized by law. Even private individual like Obani can arrest even a criminal under the law, even without being a security agent. So these are things that will be sorted out, with interpretation that the court will give. It will really expand our jurisprudence. But for me, to me, it is immaterial. I'm not speaking now as an MBA, I'm privately as a lawyer. How you obtain evidence against probably an accused person is immaterial to me, provided you are very sure. But you must follow the law in obtaining that evidence. Very, very key. Because going by the account of the judges, they say some of the SSS people were masked. They were not, their faces were not seen.
Yes.
So do they have any right to go into a home of a judge to arrest him masked? Is it proper? Can there be no other way, civilized method of arresting them? Can you not even wait when they are coming back from work? As they are coming out of their car, show them the search warrant and even arrest warrant if you have any. They are under the law. Or can you not even wait until the following morning, maybe by 7 o'clock when they are stepping out of their house, going for work, you now show all the papers. Oh, the search warrant and all the warrants.
Dennis
Why must you
smiling.
burst into their home by 1 a.m. and then you are masked? In a country where we have issue of kidnapping and others. So these are issues. Because I also believe that the issue of doing this in a civilized manner is very key. Our security agencies have problem. The issue of not applying technology in investigation of crime is giving us a way. If you go to the police, they arrest you, sometimes they insert pin into your anus in order to extract what they call confessional statements. So we really need to look at that aspect of employing technology, because we see other countries doing it. But here we still use our barbaric and a cake method in investigation, and it's really not telling good of us.
All right, we'll certainly bring Dennis to answer these questions later on, but let's get to additional in here. Now, even within what has happened, even within members of or those within the judiciary, they have not spoken in one voice when it comes to the interpretation of what the Constitution says and how this has affected judges and affected the law and the rule of law, as the case may be. Is it to say that the Constitution is too ambiguous when it comes to stating actually what the roles are and what should be?
Thank you so much. What I should like to say that it's in the nature of men to agree and disagree. It's not likely that you will have 10 people sitting in a room, sleeping in a room, all of them will sleep in the same one direction, particularly so when there are that species of people called legal practitioners, lawyers. And you find out that lawyers are trained and by their intellectual endowment and training can canvass arguments which will be reasonable. That something is reasonable or logical does not mean that it is truth, and does not mean that it is progressive. So it's nothing strange, and that is why you always have two sides. Among the 10 sides to a coin, it's not just two sides. But the fact of what we are talking about, I should like to align myself with Mercury here, and not Mandi Oyekachi Bani, to the extent that internal security, when you consider it really, you want to see that it's quite wide. Particularly so you are talking about judges. Lawyers and judges like to say, and I quite correctly say, that they're quite a bastion of democracy, a bulwark of democracy. You consider that judiciary is a whole 1/3 of government, and there's only one class of people based on the bar, on the bench, who could occupy that, legal practitioners. All those judges are legal practitioners. Mr. Obani can become a judge one day. I could be, and all that. So, and the society has donated a whole 1/3 of government, democratic government, to a class of people. Yet those people can still participate in the legislature, participate in the executive, wherever so then that the activities will be considered to be ordinary. Why should they now be exempted from strict requirements of society? To whom much is given, much more is expected. That's what the Bible said. Not that much is expected, much more is expected. When you are a judge, and society has told me.
But should that be sacrificed on the altar of the rule of law?
What is the rule of law? All what the DSS has done. That's why I brought these books. And Judicial has lectured Michael Zikome last week on the channels.
Yes.
The section 140, section 114. People have mentioned Judge Tapo style and all that.
Yes.
If it's Judge Tapo, it is legal in Nigeria. If you say it's Judge Tapo, it is legal. And one thing we used to do is that we generally brand people and look down on soldiers, policemen, other people as all brawn, no muscle. It's not true. When you move close, you find out that most of them are graduates, especially the top echelon of government. And you won't just think, people say that a dog will not be so mad as to enter into fire. The DSS in Nigeria will not be so zealous to rush into an affray with judges, not even with magistrates. If there are no cogent and reasonable grounds for so moving. What my learned senior colleague had said about is there no other civilized maybe waiting for these people to come, but the law said here that it may be executed any time of the day. It is the gentleman, just like we used to say among ourselves, don't teach me how to conduct my case. If I'm doing a case before a judge and the judge is trying to put me within some certain strictures, I will plead with the court, my lord, if my law will just allow me to conduct this case within my capacity. Now, we are the one telling the SSS, the DSS, whoever they are, that please, when they are coming, a civilized gentleman, the law says anytime, You understand? And I've read some other
So you're talking about 148, section 148?
148, yes.
Of the Criminal Act Justice.
Yes,
okay,
as
fine.
recent as 2015.
Okay.
And to that, there's a necessity for the legislature in Nigeria to have made this. And when a judge look at what happens among the political class, the effect of the judiciary is very serious indeed. I'm telling you, when politicians, when they are doing their permutations, you know, they have this attitude that just win at all costs. Once you win, when we get to the tribunal, we know how we settle it. Yeah. Now, if the judiciary is compromised, you now have riots. You have now riots outside. You have violence and security breakdown has come in. And people do anticipate, say, I can compromise the judiciary. Even ordinary landlord-tenant issues. When you find the costs being slow, you find tenants in the house bragging. I will stay in your house for 5 years. Later, the gentleman, the landlord will feel frustrated and say, I'm not going to use court. I will use OPs. I will go to Ijebu. Sorry, Ijebu people. I will go to Ijebu and use I will use something. It leads to breakdown of law and order. Law is a central force in social engineering of society. Law, religion, they are very important.
Okay. All right, Dennis, let me come to you on this. Mr. Obani earlier said that the security agencies in Nigeria have a lot of challenge. And he used the word, the crude and uncivilized way at which the operations are carried out. How do you respond to this?
I am surprised that he's using words like that, because what is crude? You know, we will get evidence by any means at any time, you know, to justify a particular case. I know that if the evidence is not gathered properly, or if it is gathered under duress, when it goes to court, it might not stand up. But at the same time, we have to fight, you know, when somebody is sick, for instance, you need a surgical operation. You know, you can give somebody tablets or you can give him injections, but when the problem is very, very bad, you need a surgical operation. And Nigeria is at that point right now. We've been classified as the most corrupt country in the world, one of the most corrupt countries in the world, and this corruption continues to fester. You find out that, look, I want to ask, how many people have really been prosecuted and jailed for corruption in Nigeria? We've not seen one. Kidnapping is a big case in this country. People have been arrested, taken to court, and they walk away. We've had people steal billions of, you know, dollars of Nigerian money, and they just get a part in the court and go away. Right. You arrest some people and they are begging you to take them to court because they know when they get there, they will go away. So any means possible, you know, will be used in getting those evidence. Okay. And we'll take it back to court where I don't know what is going to happen again.
Okay, Monday, section 153 of the 1999 Constitution, talking about the mandate and the responsibility of the NJC. Nothing about being prosecutorial, so they don't have the power to prosecute when it comes to criminal cases. You respond to that, but I'd like you to link that to what you're talking about evidence earlier. According to the statement that NJC churned out, that in the case of Justice Pindiga, there were allegations against him brought in by the DSS, and the NJC asked for a deposed affidavit, which was later presented, and the cases were tabled, and the matter was looked into. And according to the NJC, the DSS didn't have enough evidence to corroborate what they are saying, that the justice in question was corrupt. And based on that, the case was dismissed, and Justice Pindiga was told to return back to his duty. Now, if Pindiga were to be culpable, if DSS had the evidence and he was found to be culpable, what do you think the NJC would do apart from recommending for his dismissal or retirement?
Yeah, let me say this. The issue of judicial system, the judicial, administration of justice is rooted in confidence. The moment people lose confidence in our judicial sector, what would result is anarchy, because people will begin to take laws into their hands. And so anything that can be done in order to nip issue of corruption in judicial sector should be done by all. And I don't see any sane person that will support corruption. I'm a lawyer, and most of us have been victims of corruption in judiciary, and nobody is, denying the fact that it does exist, because it doesn't bring out the best. No matter how brilliant you are as a lawyer, after doing all the work and reading all the law reports and quoting the law, somebody will come and quote money. The money, how larger your pocket is what wins you justice. So nobody, and there won't be any development in jurisprudence actually, when we encourage corruption in the judicial sector. People will lose confidence. So anything that we can do in order to nip it. And I don't see even the NBA supporting corruption. 2 weeks ago, the NJC disciplined some judges. I hope you are aware of it. And NJC came up, NBA came up with a statement applauding the sanitization process of NJC. It's been over the years, but they're overwhelmed. So having answered that, I'm saying that I want to make that statement very clear, that no sane person will ever encourage corruption. We are retarded in growth today in Nigeria because of corruption. And one of the worst things that can happen to a nation is to have a judicial sector that is, bedeviled with corruption. You can't make progress. Investors can't come in. Nobody will believe. As I said earlier, it's rooted in confidence. And the people must always have, because it remains the last hope of the common man. Having made that very clear, I want to now go forward and talk about whether NJC has prosecutorial powers, as you asked. They don't. What they have is to discipline a judge. It could be criminal, it could be issue of professional misconduct. But what they do is that you must write them by way of petition and deposit an affidavit, as Raleigh pointed out, and then point out all those facts. This is what you have against them. And those things must be very verifiable, because they will go and make inquiry. They also give the judge an opportunity to respond. It is based upon that. Recently, a judge was even given up for prosecution. After he returned back all the money, they say he must also be prosecuted. This has happened before. They have dismissed so many judges. But they're overwhelmed, as I said earlier, because these judges are also smart. Getting information and getting the evidence, even to present before NJC, may be a problem. Hello, sir. It's very important. Because whoever alleges must prove. So if you're alleging that the judge is corrupt, you must provide basic evidence through which they can now nail that judge. And most time is lacking. Most time is lacking, and so those judges will go scot-free. Not because they are innocent, but because the evidence is not sufficient. Yes. That has been the problem.
So that justifies the raid by DSS.
So now if DSS now wants to raid, as I said earlier, Obani as a personal, NBA is against it. And I'll say it here. I am not against obtaining information against a suspect, whether legitimate or illegitimate. But sir, in doing it, and let us sound this very clear, we are still in democracy. The moment you allow the security agencies to carry arrests under impunity, under a lawlessness in a civilized climate, you are not giving your country a good name. All of us can be victims. There's nothing stopping Obani tomorrow from somebody alleging anything, and they just bash into my home and carry me with over 40-something, armed DSS men to come and arrest Obani that has no gun. Are you following me? That is unnecessary. Could have done it even in a more civilized way. I'm saying that, gentlemen, we must not encourage impunity. I have seen things. Every day I'm being called by Nigerians, I've been arrested by police. Sometimes illegally. I will call the police. What has this man done? Somebody was frying egg. Unfortunately, he slept off. There was fire incident in his house. Somebody went and reported that he wants to burn the house and kill me. Murder. Alleged murder. Police came and arrested the man. And he said, look, I am sorry. I was only sleeping when I was frying the egg. And police was holding him. I asked him to bring 100,000 naira before they can release him. I called the DPO, who now found out what was going on and released that young man. I'm saying that there are a lot of illegitimate ways. If you watch these European films, my sister, you watch a white man investigating crime. For 6 months, he follows a suspect.
Fascinating.
Even when the evidence are so, he doesn't want to go by this. He gets all the evidence, very incontrovertible. And when he goes before the court, it is you now that will beg him. Plea bargain. But here in Nigeria, they will arrest you and start looking for evidence. And that was saying that we must improve our method. He knows what I'm talking about. The issue of technology must be employed in investigation. We're not employing it. We don't have it. Even when the budget is being given, they don't use it to go and buy all this technology. If you want to do ordinary thumbprint now, handwriting, they don't have the machine. It's not where in Nigeria. It's crude method we're using. 42 went and bought a mask to go and arrest a judge who has no gun, who has no waiting they happen. That is wrong method of arrest. So what we're saying, we must do it in a civilized manner. We are still under democracy, or else
you can be a victim tomorrow.
All right, we'll come back.
All right, now the National Judicial Council is one of the federal executive bodies created by virtue of Section 153 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, in order to guarantee the independence of the judiciary, which is a sine qua non for any democratic government.
The NJC performs several judicial functions, such as advising the President of Nigeria and governors on issues related to the judiciary. They also perform disciplinary functions, as well as appointment and nomination of executive members of the judiciary.
Now, yeah, the National Judicial Council is headed by the Chief Justice of Nigeria as the chairman, and the current chairman is Honorable Justice Mahmoud Mohammed, GCON. Now, the chairman is assisted by the deputy chairman of the council, and the current deputy is Justice of the Supreme Court, Honorable Justice Nkanu Onogen, CFR. They are assisted by 23 other judicial officers as floor members.
The National Judicial Council is made up of different committees. Some of them are the Screening Interview Committee, Constitution Review Committee, Due Process Committee of the Federal Judiciary, Appointments, Promotion, and Disciplinary Committee, Federal Judiciary Budget, Monitoring Projects, and Contracts Committee. Just like we mentioned earlier Monday, from what we have, no prosecutorial power given to the NJC as we speak. But my question is to you, Dennis, from the report we gathered that some of those DSS officials went masked with guns. And some lawyers have argued that the home of a judge is an extension of his chamber. By reason of his office is entitled to his license to own a gun. So if DSS operatives accosted a judge masked with a gun and the judge in possession of a gun, what do you think will ensue in such a situation?
Well, the thing is that there are different forms of dressing for different kinds of operations, you know, and this is a situation where they are going in at night, and they felt that if they want to be masked, I think that might be instructed from, you know, whoever is sending them to do that kind of operation. But the point is that before they went into that house, they told them that they were from the SSS, opened the door. We'll be referring to the civilized countries. Have you seen FBI guys actually break down a door and go inside? Because
most
they'll tell
of the time, I don't think they go masked. Do they go masked?
Well, the point is that, you see, like I said, there are different forms of dressing for different kinds of situations. Those people, you said, is entitled to a gun. And suppose they want to identify themselves, because you have to wear the same kind of clothing to identify yourself. If we are masked, and then the people that are there inside the house to confront us are not, then we know who we are going to pick.
Just recently, the wife of CBN governor was abducted, and the report we got that an army, a lance corporal in the army was part of that operation.
Very correct.
So take that now and add it to what you have. I wouldn't want to open my door.
But when you have been informed, you can find out. You can make phone calls.
Within how many hours do I have
the judge
to
can
make
make phone
calls
calls
and find out that
he can
who
make
would I
phone
call
calls.
at that point in time?
Which some judges did, actually.
Yes. And when they called somebody, whoever they called, were they told that open the door and talk to these people? You know, like I said, we need a surgical operation for very bad situations. And, you know, the mode of dressing or how they entered there is not the point. The point is that he's saying that we don't have, there is no technological application in doing this kind of things. No fingerprinting. How did the voters register, you know, people were using their fingerprints?
Handwriting expert, you know, without the machine.
How do you know?
Forensic.
Because
I'm aware, I'm a lawyer.
Forensic.
you're a lawyer, but you have not gone.
Forensic.
You've not gone. Have you been into the SSS to find out which kind of equipment they have?
I don't know what you have, but I'm talking about police.
You don't know.
I don't
So
know.
that's the
No,
point.
police
You
don't
don't.
have
It
any-
doesn't
so
know.
you do have that.
It does not know.
Okay,
how
so-
did they know that there was this large amount of money in the house? I would have loved the lawyer to tell me
Can
that
I talk
they
about
went.
that?
Yes,
no, hold on.
we'll
They
get to
went
that.
in there.
We'll get to that.
We need to bring. We need
Yeah,
to bring.
they went
we
in
need to
there
bring-
and they
We'll get
didn't
to
find
that,
anything. So
All right,
there
we
was
need to,
information.
we need to bring additional in here while Foladili stands by, but we need to bring in additional in here. Now, you've been following the argument all the while. Now, one of the issue Mr. Ubani has been putting forth is the issue of the procedure, the right, civilized way of doing this. Now, from your own perspective, if there has to be procedure, and maybe the NJC should have been informed, or as the case may be, do you think that the evidence to which the DSS obtained would have still been there if the procedures were followed?
Now, what I should like to say is that the arguments will indicate that we are still not operating the rule of law, we are operating the rule of men. Nigeria will appear to be a situation of the animal farm, where you find that the pigs are superior to other creatures and they tell you to eat apples and milk. The question is this, is when you want to arrest a welder, when you want to arrest a farmer, when you want to arrest a taxi driver, and you want to arrest a white-collar job person like me, are they entitled to the same treatment? If the answer is yes, we are under the law.
Rule of law.
If the answer is yes, we are under the rule of man. And Nigeria is a situation of thin Godism, thin God. They are sacred cows, they are thin gods. The fact is this, sentiments and professional bonding makes people to begin to rate some human beings higher than some other human beings. The reality is that a judge is a public servant. That is the truth.
And doesn't have immunity.
He's a civil servant. He doesn't have immunity. And just like him, just like me, when you are a lawyer, I still call them legal practitioners elevated to the bench. They are legal practitioners. If there are issues, and I've said it before, if, for example, if I should convert my client's estate, or it's both a crime and a professional misconduct. Or I should, maybe some damages are to be paid for my clients, paid through me, and to use Nigerian parlance, I ate it. The fellow could write to the Nigerian Bar Association and disciplinary sanctions will be taken against, but he could have gone to the police. And when he goes to the police, it will not be up to me to say, no, I'm a lawyer. When I ate the money, I ate as a lawyer, so please go to the MBA. The question is this, when a judge commits a crime, if all the issues they are referring to as the NJC, the question I should begin to ask, with due respect to the NJC, because that's what they teach us in the court of law, is there any administrative body in Nigeria, however high place, that can determine crime, that can determine culpability of crime? When you go and report a judge to the NJC, what you must establish is that because of the inducement, he is biased. It is not for the NJC to begin to say, no, he did not collect the money. Is he biased? Now, so the point I'm trying to make here is this. The DSS, having received information, having claimed that they have conducted an investigation, do they have the right to move against a judge in the manner in which they have done? I wonder why we are so concerned about this being masked or not. I keep saying, I would like to be respected in my class as a lawyer. I like to give the respect to security agencies too. And I maybe have the advantage of one thing. My elder brother happens to be a senior immigration officer. One day I saw him doing some stuff at home. I was years back. I said, my brother, what are you doing this? You are Christians. The man said, you are a lawyer. Those boys at the border, if you see the weapons and they open fire, the security agency will be restrained generally before opening fire. But this criminal, when you are a lawyer, you are thinking of human rights and all that. But this fellow is dealing with death every time. Waving down somebody like this, the person can open fire and spray and kill as many of you as possible. Now the people that are moving to go arrest people. I've read a few reports and I see one of the judges claiming that his lawyer, he was allowed to call his lawyer. And that says something. That is a bit debunking the story of just massive force that is unreasonable and all that. They have cited section, all this human rights something. That's why I brought it to. I thought it would be an issue. There's nothing like absolute right. There's nothing like absolute right. And I'm saying that, as at now, I'm not saying the judges are wrong or are guilty, but I'm saying that the DSS have privileged information. If my learner senior, actually my boss, I've served under him before.
But either you want to talk about it or not, the principle of fair hearing. If an allegation is leveled against you by law, you should be heard.
It will go to court.
Yeah, of course, they will go to court.
They will go to court.
When people say Gestapo, maybe they forgot it. Gestapo, actually, that's Nazi. What they do is that you are whisked away and you are disappeared. You are vanished. They never see you again. You are taken to concentration camp. But these gentlemen were arrested and then they were released even on self-recognizance. The important thing is that they wanted to get in some evidence. And security people and psychologists, criminologists will know that most people's homes is the nest of evidence.
Of course.
I won't go more.
It's all right. We'll bring in Foladele in here to give us a perspective on the reaction of Nigerians on this. Is Foladele ready for... Okay, while we wait for Foladele to come up. Okay, Foladele is coming in from...
Okay.
I guess she's running in from wherever she's running in from. Fola, it's good to see you. Good morning.
Morning, Mike. Good morning, Busolami. So sorry.
Yes.
Good morning to our guests. Very full house.
Yeah, it's a full house. It's full
but I'm
panel.
not surprised. This is a very interesting one. And we have a lot of reactions from, people. Some saying, well, could this mean that we're making headway with our war on corruption? While lawyers is like, Monday here, I've said, are we going about things the right way? So let's see what some other people are saying online. I do want our guests to pay keen attention because I'm going to take you up on some of these tweets. Yeah. All right, first one from Tunde Energy. He's saying, if you refuse to train your children privately, outsiders will train them publicly. If the NJC cannot keep its house in order, the DSS will. Next one from @IamAnomaly. Just read the statement of the NJC on the invasion of the homes of judges. Proves the point that the DSS acted outside the ambit of the law. Amara Wankpa says, the NJC position on the DSS raid is detailed, specific where it needs to be, meticulous, and damning. Shaya Falabi is saying, DSS cannot cleanse the judiciary. NJC recently fired a couple of judges. That's the NJC's role, not the DSS. These men aren't terrorists. Daniel Amani is saying, isn't the DSS aware that to carry out any arrest whatsoever against a judge, you must get approval from the NJC? At JMC2, of the 8 judges whose homes were raided by the DSS, 3 of them were retired by the NJC less than 2 weeks ago. Those 3 are fair game. And the last one here from Ikechuku, do we still have NJC? DSS is the new NJC.
All right, there we go.
Monday, if you fail to train your children at home, outsiders will do it.
Privately?
Yes, privately. Outsiders will do
train
it
publicly.
Wow. I certainly agree with that. And as I said earlier, it's important we understand the standpoint of my argument. I have always agreed with the fact that the rule of law must apply, both to the poor and the rich. Why some of us were against this issue of rule of law, people were mounting, when arrests were made recently, is that it only when it involves a rich man, when he's arrested in a manner they consider, they talk about rule of law. But when a poor man is arrested in a manner that I consider, nobody talks about rule of law. So rule of law should be applicable both to the poor, even to me as a lawyer, even to a motor mechanic. Are you following me, sirs? So even to a judge. So all this rule of law must be applied. So in arresting, if you have evidence against a judge, go ahead and pick it. But in doing it, this is my own in qualification, doing it, let's do it in accordance with the law, or else we become lawless. And when we become lawless, anarchy sets in. And that's not good for us as a country.
Okay.
All right, Fola, I guess that answers your question.
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right.
Now, do we still have the NJC, the DSS?
The DSS is the new NJC. It's so funny. Nigerians have different understanding, different interpretations to all of these things. But yes.
We have to look at, forget about the grammar that is going on between who is who and who went and arrested who. The crux of the matter is that we are fighting corruption. And we need to fight that. Look at the sound bites. They are either from lawyers or they are from judges, interested parties. The public is happy. The public is totally happy that this is happening.
Some section of the public, but not
well,
not all.
The point is that you know how corrupt are we going to be and when are we going to change? We continue being corrupt, and from my experience in the service is that only those who have been hurt, even in elections, it is the losing party that will always raise the noise, but all the parties do rig. You understand? So this is a situation that we as Nigerians have to agree with ourselves, whether we want to fight corruption or we want to just allow it to go.
All right. Additional, let's have you end the issue of the arrest warrant. Some of them were botched. Some wrong warrant were presented to some judges. Dingba, for instance, didn't even have a warrant for him. They kept bringing such a warrant which wasn't with his name on it. What do you make of that? That is one, because of time. And I'll take you to section 151 of the SAG Act, where it talks about jurisdiction of the arrest warrant based on the justice of the law of peace. Some of the warrants that were gotten from Abuja. That same warrant was taken to Port Harcourt. That same warrant was taken to Gombe. What do you make of that?
Certainly that's not right. When you have situations like this, we are human beings. People do make mistakes, and I'm not defending the DSS on that. If you are to arrest Mr. A and you go to Mr. D, certainly that's a case of mistaken identity. In fact, people have been mistakenly shot.
But if you were a lawyer, if you're taking up that case in the court of law, you will take on that loophole.
Exactly. No,
I will if I was a lawyer.
Yeah, well, you're already speaking as counsel to me. I'm saying that, yes, that's not a perfect operation. As you like to even say, as you talk, I just remember when Bin Laden was to be taken out. Yes. The operation was almost bought at the last minute. Yes. The helicopter just almost crashed. These things happen. These things happen. But like he said that when you obtain evidence, by whichever way you obtain evidence, sometimes there's this old case of people being taken outside of their jurisdiction. Because the important thing is that they've got the evidence. That part of the DSS operation of mistaken identity is wrong, and I think they will have blamed themselves and all that. So I'm not defending that, but whether judges can be proceeded against on allegations of collecting money, graft, extortion, or bribery, okay. I think they have the eminent right to do
all right, we don't have all the time now, but let me ask Mando Bani for this. Now, the NJC has come to say that this operation is like the interference of the executive on the judiciary, and they have said that they've used some terms to say intimidate. They've used the word intimidate. They've used it, cowing the judiciary, as the case may be. We also remember that former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki, when the issues of allegations up against him, it was still the same kind of operation against him. How would you relate this? How would you reconcile this?
Okay, NJC is not even a judicial arm. It's not part of the judicial, it's a part of the executive. If you look at under the constitution, it's listed as part of the executive arm, so it's not even a judicial arm of government. But having said that, it's important we recognize your perception. Perception is real. It's how you perceive, and based on whatever evidence you have. As I said earlier, if you want to go and arrest a judge and you have employed good technology, good understanding and investigation and issue of intelligence gathering, you will know who and who is in that house. You are going to, you will know what and what the man has and all that. You don't go to arrest one single person the way you want to come and arrest Ganifa with me with over 80 armed men that are armed to the teeth. What is all that for? And then you call the praise. What are you trying to say? So what I'm saying there, let us employ a more civilized approach. Still get all we want and then get them prosecuted. Corruption is real, and we must try as much as possible to nip it in the body.
All right, Monday Obani, thank you very much. Dennis Amachiri, thank you very much. Amakri, exactly.
Maybe you read this house.
He's a CX. So, an additional Golano, thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you very much.